Another month is over, and that's right, it's time for the video games pickup video for August 2024, and I want to start this video off by saying, yes, I know my hair is getting kind of long, but also, far be it from me to make a liar out of myself, but that's exactly what I did this month. And you might be wondering, well, what do you mean you made a liar out of yourself? Because that doesn't sound very pleasant, right? Well, if you had the opportunity to watch my Game Boy collection video about a month and a half ago, I said the reason I did that video was because I didn't actively collect for the Game Boy Color, or the Game Boy Advanced, and that's why it felt fine to show off the collection, because I felt like that collection was done. But, among other things this month, here I was buying some Game Boy games. So I guess, that video is already a little bit out of date, but you know what? These are games I wanted for the collection, especially because we're going into fall, and everyone knows fall is spooky season, but more importantly, fall, well, it's Harry Potter season, right? So that goes into my pickups, because I love playing the different versions of all the Harry Potter games. Like, back in the day, the console version of Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets was different than the PC version. And it was also different than the last gen version. What I mean by that is the PS1 and the PS2 versions of Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets were different from each other. They weren't just different versions of the ports. And with that being said, the PC version was also completely different. But the Game Boy games were also different than both of them, because the Game Boy Color games were more of RPGs. And the Game Boy Advance games were more of, I think, like action games. So I wanted to play these versions of the games. And that's where we're going to start, because for the Game Boy Color, I picked up not only Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, but of course, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, for that matter. For the Game Boy Advance, I also picked up Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I wanted to see the difference between the two of these games, and I feel like I've played the Game Boy Advance games, or at least I think I played a little bit of Chamber of Secrets back in the day, but not anywhere where I got far. Now you might be wondering, well, is it over? Is Harry Potter done? No, because I also picked up for the Game Boy Advance Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Now I have a love-hate relationship with the Prisoner of Azkaban, because before I read Order of the Phoenix, Prisoner of Azkaban was my favorite book, and I was very, very distraught of how different they made the movie. But, to my knowledge, from what I was reading, is for the Game Boy Advance, Prisoner of Azkaban, because there isn't a last-gen version for the Game Boy Color, they didn't make it an an action game. They made it more of an RPG, so it's going to be interesting to find out how that plays. And I figure it kind of all plays into October, right? Even if I don't get around to playing them this October, which I may or may not, I'm going to be excited to have those in the collection and eventually start to play them. Now, my last Game Boy Advance game is a reproduction / homebrew game, because this game never came out here in the States. And I guess what they did was take a donor cart and just flash the English fan translation onto this, because this cart does look a little messed up, even though when I look at it, there is a Nintendo board in there, so that's kind of cool. And if you're wondering, well, the game is Mother 3, aka Earthbound 3, or Earthbound 2, I guess if you want to say this. Now, Mother 3, as many gaming historians know, started off as a Nintendo 64 game that never got released. Years later, development picked back up for the Game Boy Advance for this game. However, it never got released here stateside. Now, there's a dedicated fan community working on English translation for games, and Mother 3 is one of them. So to kind of get this on a cart, I'm hoping it'll play on the Game Boy player. I loved Earthbound, so Mother 3 is a game I definitely want to give it a shot, because that's where you get Lucas from, right? That everyone knows from Super Smash Bros., which is interesting because he became such a popular Smash character, even though he never had a game that came out here stateside. So, let's go into some other retro games, because I picked up 2 games for the Sega Saturn, also Japanese imports. The first one is a game by Hudson called Shadow of the Tusk. Now, this is apparently like a strategy RPG, And I've always been looking for more Saturn RPGs that I can play because I don't know Japanese, and there wasn't a lot that came out here in North America. So Shadow of the Tusk apparently has most of the menus in English, and they say it's probably one of the most friendly RPGs to import for the Saturn. So I'm excited to play this for that matter. The other game is a game I've wanted in the collection for a little bit because it holds a special spot in my heart. Now you might be wondering why, and we'll get into that, and that is Sonic Wings Special. Now this is a like a shoot 'em up game, arcade style, and I love Sonic Wings. Now the first time I ever played Sonic Wings was at my great uncle's house, and he, for some reason, in his basement had the arcade cabinet, and I had always wondered what the game was because I always forgot the title. And then one day when I was just browsing games online, I was looking for Sonic the Hedgehog games, so I typed in Sonic games, and Sonic Wings came up. And I started playing it, and I was like, well, it's not Sonic the Hedgehog, but this is the game that I've been trying to figure out the name for years, and for some reason I never just asked my great uncle. But I'm excited to play this again because I loved that game. Now, I picked up 2 games for the Nintendo Switch. One of them is a game that came out last month that a lot of people here stateside got the collector's edition from. I went with the Play Asia version because I didn't really need the collector's edition, and it was also $25, and that is the Nintendo World Championship NES edition. This is a compilation of games as a Nintendo World Championship game would be, with a bunch of different challenges and I guess high scores. So, yeah, this will be cool to play, maybe with some friends at some point, because there is a speedrun mode and a party mode. The other game I picked up was Cat Quest 3. Now, I think I've mentioned this here on the channel before, that I love the Cat Quest 1 game. I have Cat Quest 2 on my PS5 and I haven't played it, and I think Cat Quest 3, they had just announced at like a Nintendo showing or something, and then it was coming out almost like immediately after, and I was like, hey, Cat Quest isn't a game that's super expensive. The first one was super fun that I have on the Switch, so I was like, you know what, let's get the third one. I'm probably going to really enjoy it. So, we are on to the final 5 games, and they're for another system I thought I was done collecting for, that I was going to do a video for, and it's the Wii U. Now, the Wii U is a system I do hold also near and dear to my heart because it's a system I didn't have when I was relevant, or when it was relevant. I've never been relevant, so that's besides the point. So collecting for it now feels like it's retro collecting, even though the system is not even like that old. It stopped having games 7 years ago, but there are games on there that I wanted to have in the collection that people always talk about. But these first 2 games I want to mention to you guys, I've never heard anyone talk about, and I found them. And they were 2 Pac-Man games. They're called Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures 1 and 2. I saw pictures of them, and they looked fun, they looked colorful, they reminded me of the old, like, Pac-Man lands. I think they were Pac-Man World is what it was called on the PS2. And, yeah, I figured it's 3D Pac-Man. You know, I grew up playing classic Pac-Man, as many of us did. So I felt like these would probably be fun to play. And for a game I've never heard of, a series I've apparently never heard of, it's going to be fun having these in the collection. Now, a game I have heard of that I probably should have had in the Wii U collection earlier because everyone always mentions it, and I know it's been re-released on the Switch, but I got this for super cheap, so why not play the OG version? And that's Lego City Undercover. Now, to my knowledge, this is like a GTA kind of version of a Lego game, where it's like an open world sandbox game that can kind of get a little reckless. I've kind of had a love-hate relationship with the Lego games because they're usually fun, but they're not super in-depth about things, and I don't think they're supposed to be, right? So I think I'm going to enjoy this if I just play this on like a nice night where I'm kind of bored and want something to play. But something I am excited to play is the Amazing Spider-Man Ultimate Edition. Now, I've played the Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the Wii U. I don't know why I never got the first game, but now I have it. I love playing Spider-Man games, just because they're fun. You know, when they're done right, they play fluidly, the combat's usually cool. The Spider-Man universe, as much as I am a Batman diehard, I will often say does have some pretty darn cool villains, and it's kind of eccentric, and it's lighthearted, it's funny. So I am looking forward to playing this. I hope it's a good game. Now, the last game I picked up for the month is a game that I've never played any of the series, and I've really wanted to. Because the first game came out back on the Wii, and I don't own that, so I probably should get on owning that. But I picked up this one, and it's Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two. I've heard so many good things about the Epic Mickey games. I've heard they're fun. I've heard they're very easy to get into. So I'm looking forward to playing this. I know that side character next to Mickey there was like the original mascot of Disney to my knowledge. So I kind of want to play this and know like the lore, I guess you could say, that it'll go into Disney history. But yeah, this, you know, I think this month, as much as I picked up a lot of retro games and not many new games at all, the newest game in here is probably Cat Quest, because as much as the NES Championship Edition is in here for the Switch, it's based off NES games we've probably all played at this point. But I think it was an interesting month because there was a lot of games I didn't think I was really going to buy, especially Mother 3. I never thought I was going to buy the homebrew version of that. I maybe thought I was going to get my hands on the Harry Potter games for Game Boy at some point. But all in all, it's an interesting selection of games I got this month, guys. So if you've played any of these games, what do you think of them? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm filming this on Labor Day weekend, so go ahead and enjoy your Labor Day. Get out there, enjoy yourself, party a little bit. But as always, be safe. Be happy, be healthy, game on, and I will catch you guys later. Like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, see ya, bye.